bounced into a Sunday afternoon, bounced into a chat. I'm talking with a real person. It's wonderful. The shift before this I had at work was garbage. Hot, flaming pyre of garbage. But much like flame-coloured hair man. Hello.
Hi. I wasn't sure if that was a bit you'd written or if you were just talking off the cuff.
No.
I thought I'd let you do it.
No, both of my cuffs are undone and my sleeves are rolled up and my arms are masculine.
And out full arm words.
And I'm throwing a shaky fist towards the morning and afternoon I've just had. Who works Sundays?
Sundays are work.
Sundays are work.
They're the worst.
Tell me the work.
They're not bad. Like, they're quite, for me, I mean, I suppose it's different for you because you're in a service industry, whereas I'm a shop, and it's generally quieter on a Sunday, so you can get more done. But I suppose on a weekend you've got more people out shopping and wanting to have a drink, don't you?
It is funny when you work in a coffee shop and somebody will go like, "Oh God, I had to get up at 9 o'clock today." Just thinking like, lying. Yeah.
Do you know what? I feel bad now because I think I do that in Greg's when I go in and get me breakfast some days. Like, I'm really knackered. I have to get up at 7. I'm thinking they've probably been here since 5.
They're probably inventing versions of Smash Brothers in their head, but using the super moves, variations of the super moves to destroy you. Like, I give you a steak break. And,
oh no!
There's probably other versions, but that was the only one I could think of. In the sausage
Falcon,
roll,
lunch.
Sausage roll, you wouldn't really need to change much. Come on, you're the wrestling man.
No, let's abandon bit.
No,
abandon bit.
Mind you, there is a lot of things like you can do chicken break. There's just a lot of bakes, isn't there? So
yeah,
but I suppose.
I mean, lunch and punch is a good rhyme. You know, you've got the Falcon lunch.
What? What's that? I don't go at Greg's anymore. It's gone posh.
Like the Falcon, you know, it's just a lunch. You just buy what you want, and they just punch you with it.
It's been a while, listeners. It's been a while.
It has. It's Sunday, isn't it?
So stuff's happened. Soulsy
what stuff?
Soulsy stuff.
I haven't really been paying attention. What stuff?
It's a big shock. There's our episode title.
You know what?
Paddy hasn't been paying attention.
Do you know what? It sounds like a bit of a bit, but I really haven't. Like, legitimately, I'm kind of like just drifting around in a miasma of work at the moment.
Listeners, I'm on your side. I just see Paddy wandering past my windowsill, going, walking backwards, and it's just like, hey, this has happened. Yeah, Paddy reacts. But I know one thing that has been happening. Wombro back again with the Renegade Master. Plug it.
It did. Yeah, okay, so I'd started my Wombro again. I think we were talking about it last episode we did this, where I was back and I did my stupid Gurren Lagann intro thing, which I really enjoyed making, and did 8 episodes, and then just couldn't find the time to record with Laura again for like a month and a half. Admittedly, part of that has been work. Like, I've been working like really hard at the moment. You get home, you can't be bothered. Like, I don't want to sit there and try and be entertaining, you know, while a long hard day. And to be honest, frankly, I've been stuck in Monster Hunter, so I've been a bit busy, you know what I mean? But yesterday was a perfect storm of having a day off with feeling quite awake and up for it. And I thought, fuck it, let's plug it in and do it. So yeah, Wombro's back. I put the new episode up at time of recording an hour ago. So yeah, it's up. I hope people have enjoyed it. I don't know, it's too early to tell, really.
Which episode of Wombro is that?
I just put up episode 61.
You've done 61 of those?
61, and I've recorded up to 69.
Because, yes.
Sex number. Yeah, I've recorded up to the 69th episode. I got a fair bit done. 61. They're all quite short, though, is the thing. They're like 10, 15 minutes tops, usually. So, like, the sort of length that I would want to watch, because I don't want to put something up on YouTube that's an hour long, because I wouldn't watch that. I don't like long videos. I like short videos. I like 15 minutes and get on with my day.
You can have your dinner, you can work out, you can, I don't know, be vacuuming when he looks like he's talking rubbish. You can just switch the vacuum cleaner on. Then when it looks like he's died and you
so for the whole video then?
Yeah. Yeah, they're good to vacuum to. And then just take him out of context afterwards.
Music to do drilling to.
Yeah, send those things through. Just like, and then my sword, it broke.
I've forgotten where to go in this bit.
Anyway, enough of you, sir. Bloodborne Return to Yarnham kicked in on Saturday the 10th. It's also free in inverted commas on PlayStation Plus.
Don't do that.
What?
You're letting the internet people, the pedants, win. Free. Fuck it.
Free? It's free.
It's free.
It's free. I'm leaning
free.
So there'll be a huge influx of new players to that, I'd imagine. Do you remember your first playthrough, your favourite moments and stuff?
Oh God, this is a question.
That's generally it. I've got a question mark at the end of this sentence.
That's a question.
On
okay.
the screen.
Well, I've not just to kind of keep it tied into like what has happened these last few weeks. Like, I haven't gone back to Yarnham with everybody else. Again, I've been busy. Monster Hunter's out. It's kind of fun.
We really have changed places, haven't we?
I know it's happened again. But no, that's not to say I don't want to. Like, yeah, I'll play Bloodborne again. But I'm enjoying Monster Hunter right now. I'm having fun with it. I'll go back when I want to, not when the community tells me to. I'll go back when I feel like it.
You'll do it now, and you'll like it.
No, I'll do it when I want to. I'll do it when I want to, and I'll do it without a 1 week limit because I can't play games that fast no more.
Yeah, but
that's what annoys me about the Dark Souls 2 one. It was over in like a week and a half.
I didn't ask you to just justify yourself. I said, do you remember your first playthrough, your favourite moments and stuff?
Yeah, I remember my first playthrough. I remember playing it without the internet. I remember playing it when it was offline before the servers were up.
What?
Because remember we got
Bloodborne.
Yeah, because do you remember that really nice thing we got to do, where we went to Sony and they gave us the copy of the game a week ahead of time? Do you remember that?
Don't be that guy.
And when I went home and played it,
right? My overriding memory of that point in time was. You getting there's a tray of Bloodborne cakes, and you getting a Bloodborne cake from the tray, and just sat down, and I was like, I didn't know you could get them there. You were like, oh yeah, I got one. So I went back to get one. The chef turns up. I get absolutely bollocked by the chef. I look back to see you grinning with black icing smeared all across your teeth. That's this vocal rendition of your grin.
Yeah, I didn't. There was no sign. They were just there. It was like, oh, cool. These are obviously for us. Like everyone else is eating and drinking. It's like, well, they look like food and drink. I'm going to put that in my gob.
That chef was quite quite sort of scowly and witch-like, or squowly, as I just called them.
Scrowly.
And I'm surprised that you haven't started aging rapidly since then. Because
if anything, it seems to have preserved my youth.
Is that right?
Well, people are always telling me how young I look at work. It's it's really good for me.
Do you remember your first playthrough, favourite moments, etc.?
Okay. Probably. No, I think my favourite moment from my first run was, in the Forbidden Woods, right? When you're going down. And you kind of reach the lamp, and you get across the little bridge by the lamp, and you step on a button. Although you can't see it's a button, it just looks like a piece of floor. And I remember stepping on a button, hearing a noise, panic rolling out of the way, and seeing the big spike trap thing swing down, and having a little laugh to myself. And then having another massive panic when it breaks off of its hinge and rolls at you. And I managed to dodge both of those things by the skin of my goddamn teeth. And I think I had to put the controller down and have a little laugh cry for a minute about that.
Yeah, but I remember another little incident with that, whereby we went co-oping into that, and you didn't say anything, and that thing punted me out of existence. I think it punted me into a hole, didn't it? Something.
I think it did. It knocked you off the ledge. I think you died. I just stood back and let it happen. Just to see it happen to other people. Like whenever you watch a stream or a video of someone playing it, and they're at that bit, I'm thinking, please get caught by the trap. Or please avoid it first. Feel clever about yourself, and then get hit when it snaps off. Please.
All of the bricks on that bridge just say, "Welcome to Sen's Fortress."
Yeah. Like, that's probably my favourite, like, of the traps, I think. What else did I enjoy? Like, because when I think about, like, my first run, I think very much about being separated, like, in a vacuum. Like, there wasn't, people to summon in. There wasn't the wiki to look at or YouTube videos. It was all kind of like
You're
work
one
it
of
out
those
shit.
people.
Yeah, it's kind of playing it on my own, like on my own.
Didn't really need it really because my skills were first hand as they.
There were a few points. Yeah, I mean, I bounced off ROM a few times, but it seems like everybody did. But you can't.
Nah,
the problem is when you're playing it like that, right? Because I did this for Dark Souls 2 as well, right? The problem with that is that you can't go online and go, "Oh, has anyone got any tips on how to do so and so?" Because nobody does, and you can't talk about it because everyone wants to be secretive, and you don't want to say, "Oh, I'm having problems with Rom the Vacuous Spider," and everyone goes, "Spoilers, what's that?"
Yeah, you see, I was going to go. Well, that is the best point to play a Souls game, but I remember Gary Dutton's drive-by sort of tip with regards to ROM, as in like boing in, twat, jump back, like, and that's kind of how I sort of smashed through ROM quite quickly. But yeah, I can imagine that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of individual moments as well from like the first run. I know I missed Canehurst completely.
Okay.
I kind of got to what I knew would be the end. I thought, right, I'm going to look up what I've missed because I think I got to ROM when the game actually came out to the rest of the world, or to the collective, and it's like a day later, someone's beaten it and there's a wiki guide up already. So it's like, okay, so I thought I'd see what I'd missed, and I'd missed a couple of optional bits. I definitely missed all of Canehurst, and there was another one I'd missed as well. What was it? One of the nightmare places. I think the second one. I think there's a boss there or something I didn't go to, but I kind of ignored one of the nightmare bits. I didn't need to do it. So I kind of went through, kind of did what I could of what I'd missed, and then cracked on, which was fun. Christ, what else did I enjoy?
Because you smashed into a second playthrough pretty quickly. I think that's the one where you started. You got the guide and you were looking up the places that you missed and the stuff that you hadn't seen.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to do, like the quote unquote full playthrough. When you kind of think, right, I'm going to do as many character quests as is possible. I want to see as many endings. I want to, see the end of every little quest and get every little unique item and everything I can put on my messengers, all the little stuff. So I sort of sat down and did, what did I do? I think I did an arcane character next. Because it was different and a bit weird. And sat there with it, and it was okay. It was all right. I've only really been through Bloodborne about like full go through probably twice. I think I've done a few abortive kind of half attempts where I've kind of made a character to co-op with someone, or like my arcane character I did. Eventually when I got to the Old Hunters DLC, still haven't beaten Rom. Not Rom, sorry. Orphan of Kos. That's it. The squid boy at the end. I've still not been able to do that because when I did it with my arcane character, who was not that great to be honest, was kind of blundering through luckily, and there was no one around to summon in, and it just wasn't happening. I kind of feel like the character I've made wasn't. It sounds stupid, like it's not optimal, but it not in a I want the biggest numbers way, in just the game was difficult way. Like I didn't have the tools that I usually have on me. I think the spells were. I kind of went a bit hard on the spells and ended up being massively underpowered for the most part because you don't spend all your time firing off magic. You spend most of your time hitting things with a stick and occasionally throwing in some magic when you feel like it. Like this was sort of against that principle, which is why my arcane character kind of sputtered out and died there. But yeah, I think I've only beaten the game about twice. I think once with the cane whip, and I think I went through with the axe, I think. Big choppy boy. That was fun. But yeah, I do want to go back to it soon. Obviously, from playing my one bro like I've been doing, I kind of want to have a go at, level 1 or blood level 4, whatever it is, runs of this as well as the other Souls games. I do want to do that. But I know that my mileage is going to vary by how much I can physically do it, because I think Bloodborne, probably more than at least the first two Souls games, it's more about player skill than gear. It's about watching your enemy, knowing when to dodge, when to counter, when to move. Like, it's more dynamic. There's not as much. I don't know. You can't play it at the same pace that you play Souls 1 or Souls 2, for instance, where you could pop your shield up, sit behind it for a minute, watch them, wait for an opening, and go. Yeah, it's very much more about dodge, move.
Yeah, but Souls is like that if you don't play with a shield.
True, but you don't have the option. Like on my one bro on Soul 1, I can, if I choose, swap my gear around, pick a big shield if I want to take my time, or redo my pyromancy up, or pick a slightly different reinforced club, because there's only about 2 weapons you can use. But like, I've got enough tools to be, I don't know, like, I've got variations in how I can approach things, whereas in Bloodborne I don't have that many variations. Like, it is, don't get hit, dum-dum.
Yeah, but I think almost your shield in Bloodborne is knowing and taking advantage of that kind of regain mechanic, because that was something that I knew was there, obviously, in like the first playthrough, but was almost sort of quite a little bit kink-shamed by it. It's just like, because I'm so used to just sort of conserving stamina, and a hit is a hit, and maybe blocking that. I mean, certainly on new runs of that, I'm fully aware that I'm having that back, lad. So
it depends on the enemy, though, doesn't it? It depends on what sort of damage they do. Like poison type damage is like, right, your health's gone, bye. Oh, yeah. Okay. Like, no regen if possible. Like, I found it more on bosses than anything else. Like, again, with my arcane character, was my first kind of run of Bloodborne with what I considered an underpowered character. I was having problems that I wasn't having with a standard, sword, or I suppose the cane whip was the one I used, was like, your standard dex weapon. Like, I wasn't having the sort of problems that I usually do, or usually don't. You know what I mean? Like, it was harder. And I feel like a BL4, I think it is, run of Bloodborne, I feel like it is much more based on skill. Like, can I beat the Orphan of Kos at level 4? I can't do it at level 104. Right now, I'm still having problems with it basically as it is. So, would I get that far? I don't know.
I still remember, mentioned a few times on the show before, like, True Talent was the person on True Talent on Twitch, was the person who showed me how to Dark Souls PvP well. And given that, he was kind of quite renowned for fighting games, the way that he studied and unpicked people's strategies was superb. And watching him do the DLC for Bloodborne at half the recommended level, and just seeing this level of, that thing, there's that GIF where kind of lots of numbers appeared above people's head, or like the Matrix appears. It was just seeing somebody absolutely peg what a boss was going to do, just and just like, I have recorded your movements now, just taking them down. It was phenomenal to watch. Like, Twitch at its finest. But he is a very talented man. It's true.
But like, as a non-robot person, like as a man of flesh, not a man as a hume.
Yeah.
As not someone who has the power to glitch the Matrix out like that. Yeah, like, I find there is an upper limit to how good I can be at a fighting system. It's why I don't play many fighting games, because, like, you go online, it's like, oh, cool, I'm really looking forward to losing 40 times today. Like, this is going to be really good for my self-esteem, and I find this fun. Like, I like to win every now and again, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to go on there and just get pummeled, because I don't have the time to give to practice to get that good.
Yeah, I think there's the thing, again, it was something that True noticed with the recent sort of Dragon Ball FighterZ game, was, everybody starts off on the same level. There are those who are really good at fighting games who kind of are automatically really good at it. I mean, I saw him go into, like, the lab with every character and just break down what they could do and just start absolutely leathering people. But he said that on that game, like, a good portion of the newcomers have now gone because they're getting battered. But the people who stuck around, who are really good at fighting games, who are playing it all the time, are now, like, a huge level above even what he can do. And I think that's the way a lot of fighting games can generally sort of the audience can kind of partition, if you will.
I can see that. I can see that. What about you? What's your best memories of Bloodborne?
I don't know. I mean,
your first run. Because, you did your first run, 3 weeks ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, famously in my role as contrarian fuck,
Yep.
as a certain person called me, under different circumstances actually, but it still applies here. I fell into Scholar of the First Sin instead of Blooders at the time of release. Scholar became kind of crazy personal and important to me. I had a very difficult time, and transition went back and forth between Capture Man and game. Bloodborne didn't click with me at all. Combat felt mushy. I think I described it as like punching through a cake. And I failed to find momentum with it. Kind of thought it would come. These sort of, it's not you, it's me. And that did finally happen. So I think it was after Dark Souls 3. That was definitely the bridge. The bridge, has it got a dragon on it?
Ooh,
yeah, topical.
I think regular listeners will know that we've had this conversation probably close to 25 times now.
Yeah, but it's still worth saying.
Yeah.
Seems we're
not in a bad way.
It's just into the past. I don't mind telling people all the time about your black icing, toothy grin while I'm being scolded by a chef.
There was no one there, and they were quite tasty, and they looked like they were for us.
Whilst the lady behind the counter looked like she was ready to do a ladle run of the beating.
Wow.
I'm moving on.
Look, so it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission.
The bridge had a dragon on it. Edit.
Yeah.
And yeah, Dark Souls 3 was kind of somewhere between Dark Souls and Bloodborne in sort of the combat way. And I just wanted to play more after Dark Souls 3. Went into the chalices, the Jeremy Greer chalices, as they've become known. Had fun in the chalices. That's kind of what got me back into Bloodborne. I got some cool stuff and took that back into the main game. And I think I'd left the main game at Nightmare Frontier, and I went back in and I started. I don't know. I just understood it a bit more. I left stuff eventually at Kaner's Castle, thinking we were going to do the DLC stuff, and hadn't ended the game. But yeah, I was quite interested to see how I felt about a second run, trying out a different weapon, see how many folks actually were there with the huge influx from PS Plus. So I had a peek when the PS Plus stuff kicked in. Started up a swish new fella with great hair, beard you could hide lollipops in, and headed back. Didn't manage to punch the opening beast to death. You know, the one that's in the
the first werewolf.
Yeah, I didn't manage.
It's doable, but you've got to get like a backslab on it. Like it's very hard just to chip him to death.
I felt I could have done, but didn't. So I had a bit of a jolly round. Ended up missing my original weapons, so I think I went with Threaded Cane and Kirk Hammer initially, and I did fall in love with the Tonitus at a certain point. But yeah, I was using the saw cleaver this time. Is that what it's called?
Saw cleaver is a nice weapon. It's very basic,
initially,
but it's effective.
Not a fan.
Yeah.
I think because with especially where I ended up, like Tonitus was very much like my get in and get out weapon with the added kind of right then moment where you just like throw down like the charge up the electricity with it. The Threaded Cane was my sort of crowd control with the sort of side to side swishos, and the Kirk Hammer was just like I'm gonna catch me a wild head. It's like going up behind and then like whoof. So yeah, I didn't really click with saw cleaver at first, but I got used to it, and now I'm kind of into it. Now I know that with sort of the down swings, I know the distance I can get, and the one where I can sort of do the crowd control like I was doing with the Threaded Cane, where I can kind of go from side to side a little bit, and I've just got my timing down, I think. But yeah, I at first I ended up being a bit too brash, trying to do too much and just getting twatted. I had no idea the fella who strains on the gate mid-level, the one that
Oh yeah.
actually follows you if you ignore him. Like when you get up, when you clear out sort of all those hunters with the dogs and stuff, and then you try and get up the stairs. That I had no idea he actually follows you up there.
Yeah, the first time he did that to me, I thought, oh, it's fine, I'll ignore him, it's fine. And then, he's still here. Oh dear. Yeah.
So I thought I could handle, the executioner, the guy who's right down near the gate, who sort of
bag boy.
Yeah,
bag boy.
I thought I could handle him, but no, sir, I could not. Also, I don't remember him doing that kind of absolute super job. If you lead him beyond that little back alley he wanders around in, if you lead him beyond that rubbish, man, that boy can jump.
Yeah, he's more athletic than he appears at first glance. Because while he's quite tall, underneath that tallness is some long legs, which are good for jumping.
So eventually I got behind him, not by sort of super leveling up my weapon. It was just like, hello, I've been back to the Hunter's Stream. Have some oil. Have some fire. Have some more fire. Have some more oil. Enjoy your death. But yeah, there was
You turned him into a human lighter.
I did. Just like flambe. Monsieur. Adieu. Something wasn't quite clicking for me again. So while I wouldn't say I was back to where I started, maybe it was because I've been back on Dark Souls 2 again.
Of course you have. I think a game where you do your second run, I think particularly if you've not finished your first run as well, like I feel like maybe there's a bit of closure you need to have first with your first character. I think you need to close that off and then try something new, I think.
No. However...
Are you making no noises? Okay. Oh, shut up, chinchillas. Do you hear that?
I did. At least you're not being as brash as you were previously. I've been back on Bloodborne a few times since, rather compulsively, I might add, and I may well be seeing what the folks saw from the start. Like, I really have been like super compulsive with it. This point, Gascoigne's my next visit, and remembering the last time where I didn't click about the music box. The last time I got battered by that boy until somebody sort of came in and helped me. I brought in a bit of rando co-op for the first boss. Is that Bloodstarved Beast? No, it's not.
Cleric Beast,
yeah. So
Big Arm.
I brought in a couple of other people to help me like batter that thing, which is a bit filthy casual. But I am really into it. I've been listening to a lot of Don't Give Up Skeleton while I've been sort of running around and sort of getting lots of blood vials and leveling up, and it's been nice to kind of sink into podcasts whilst doing it. So yeah, I'm proper into it, but I'd say part of that fascination is having read the Bloodborne design works very, very recently, and kind of got a real appreciation of the art, and that's part of the compulsion. I think this time it's quite hard to explain, but whereas the initial run is always the one where you're not expecting things, and there's jumps and shocks, and you don't know how to do anything. This one, because I've been really fascinated by the art in that book, it is beautiful design work to the point where it really floored me. That fascination I've taken back into this run, and I think I'm certainly appreciating a lot of stuff in the game as I go. So whilst there's this sort of super compulsion about the stuff that I'm doing, and this real excitement, this fervor that I've not had in the game previously, even in that initial run, there's also this level of sort of craft and artistry that I'm going like about, which I'm really digging. But yes,
is that what? So you needed a visual aid then?
No, but I think it's
maybe.
I mean, I was still finding my way into it and enjoying myself more and more on this run anyway. But when I poured into the book, it certainly added a lovely level of frosting, a black icing, if you will, over that
tasty.
stolen cake.
Gets in your teeth. Whereabouts are you up to with this new run then? Whereabouts? What was the last thing you murdered?
I'm just about to do Gascoigne.
Oh, okay.
But I've been just...
Boy.
Yeah, but it's been one of those things where if I'm on like an afternoon shift at work, I might get up in the morning and just do a few runs round Yarnham, like twat some stuff, listen to Don't Give Up Skeleton, another plug. There you go, Jeremy.
Plug in.
And, level up a bit, and that's fine. And then when I've got a little bit more time on my hands and I want to make it proper, that's when I've sort of been saving for the bosses. But that's where I'm up to at the minute. But having fun, really properly having fun. So you'll see me on that as one of my main games at the moment, I guess.
Bloody hell.
I will tell you,
it's only taken... Everyone check the counter. Where are we up to now? 3 years?
Yeah, but that's fine. Because I did say that it's not you, it's me. And, sometimes games click with you at later points, but it was never a point of, this is balls.
Here's a question then, given you've been playing it recently, have you seen many more like messages? Have there been like player ghosts running around?
Yeah.
Have you tried the co-op? Like it's popping, right?
Yeah, the co-op has been very quick to happen, because I think when I was going through the last time, there'd been a good drift since, or the majority of my playthrough, there'd been a good drift since the early days of the game. But yeah, co-op has sort of come pretty quickly. There's been on that boss, I was thinking I was only going to on the Cleric Beast, I was thinking there was only going to be another person to jump in, but quickly got more people that just jumped in straight away. So I was a bit like, oh, hello, please come in. Just it's like at a party, we're just like, I heard you're having a party. Yes, come in. And you're just closing the door and like, oh, you'd like to come in as well? We've got plenty of vol au vents, cheese, and a pickle. And
they've brought some dip with them,
yeah.
So have you had many, because obviously when you open up your world to friendly help, you also open up your world to murdering help, who want you to die. Have you had many invaders?
Not yet.
Because
when I sort of rang the beckoning bell, it was pretty close to where the Cleric Beast was, and literally I got people jumping in super soon.
Okay.
So that's really been my first stab at it. So yeah, I don't remember getting the beckoning bell as quickly as I've got it now, and I'm sure
you get it on. You get it from the doll or something really early, don't you?
Because I think it was on. Yeah, it might have been from the doll, or it might have been on the floor from the messengers. But I'm sure I had to get to a certain level of insight to get the bell where I could jump in to help folks co-op, and I've gotten that pretty quickly as well. So I don't know if that was an amendment, but
I think you can buy it from the Insight shop normally.
Yeah, but I'm sure
I don't know. It's been a while.
I'm sure that was like level 10 Insight or something, and I've not even vaguely gotten near that yet. Unless
they just give it you.
I don't know.
What was the So I back on Bloodborne for a little bit. About a month ago, over dinners and days off and stuff, I was watching the Game Grumps run of Bloodborne.
Okay.
Because I like those guys; they're fun guys, and I kind of fancied a bit of Bloodborne action. I think this was in January, so this was a while ago now. And I don't think it was an item on the floor because very early in the game, when you pick up your weapon and your gun from the floor, there's also another item which I think is the notebook. You can leave notes.
The notebook's on the floor?
Yeah, there's one item on the floor that there's. You pick your weapon, you pick your gun, and then there's another item which I think is either the silencing blank maybe, or the notebook or something like that.
I think it's one of those silencing blank, isn't it?
Yeah. He didn't pick that up for 45 episodes.
Cool.
And he was either willfully ignoring it, Aaron was willfully ignoring it, or hadn't seen it, and you can't be angry at a YouTube video of someone playing a game 2 years ago, because it's happened. No amount of screaming will change anything. But every episode, like, just pick it up, just pick it up, just pick it up. Don't fucking, oh my god. Oh my, like, it's pointless getting angry about it, but it wound me up royal.
I'll tell you what has been a cool thing in this run. Obviously, I've got like a better telly now, so seeing the artwork much more crisp on the telly that I took about 1 million years to save up for, rather than sort of my old HD telly is good. Plus, this telly's input lag is fairly tiny, so my joyful boinking about is probably a little bit more synced now.
I guess so. Yeah, you're looking at a prettier picture.
I touched on it in that as well, but the Bloodborne design works, I'll give a little bit of a review on.
Go on.
Unlike Dark Souls design works and Dark Souls 2 design works, this one's in softcover.
Right, okay.
So given that Bloodborne's probably as popular as the former, more so than the latter, it's a bit of a strange choice, surely? So as far as the art itself...
Soft cover?
Yeah, it's soft cover. Like Dark Souls design work was hardcover. Dark Souls 2 design work was hardcover. This one, Bloodborne's in softcover. Which is...
That seems silly.
Just, yeah, very strange. So, as I sort of alluded to previously, the art itself inside is sensational. Like, far, far, far better and more disturbing than I really imagined. It's been... I just sat there in a coffee shop, nice brew, just, leafily going through sort of pages that would probably disturb the staff and the people walking by. But yeah, it did give me that sort of super deep appreciation of everything that went into the game.
It's always tricky reading stuff like that out in public, isn't it? I used to read Walking Dead comics on the bus on the way to work, and you'd open the page and be like, okay, maybe I'll just listen to music for this bus trip. I can't have this open while people are nearby.
No, I did with the Dark Souls 2 design work. I kind of set time aside to, pop the wrapper at that point and then, go through it page by page and just not just like sitting on the sofa and going and turn, and it was like really falling into the artwork. But yeah, some of the monster designs, man, I'm kind of baffled as to how such things were created. Vistas are sumptuous. And it's a huge recommendation as to whether you're a huge fan or just a fan. But however, it absolutely pales in comparison to the Dark Souls 2 design work. And that's not just because of the hardcover side of things, but Dark Souls 2 design works has a running commentary throughout the book from the developers, giving a huge appreciation of not just the art itself, but how that was applied to level design, the ongoing struggles which underpin the project. I mean, I've waffled on about it before, but Dark Souls 2's evolution is now sort of pretty well known and pretty out there, but Yui Tanamura came on board to rescue the project and got it shipped out in time. The outstanding Three Crowns trilogy was Tanamura's alone as sole director, and his pride in crafting Scholar of the First Sin does him huge credit with me. All of that's in there, and like I say, there's this running commentary and a big question and answer piece at the back. But one of the most memorable moments for me in that was hearing Tanamura speak about this gobsmacking piece of design artwork, which was in there. Everybody loved it, but when they built it, they couldn't make it work. The level was boring, and taking that, trying to adapt it, sort of divining what worked and what didn't, and sort of infusing that with something more. I love to see that sort of thing. It was the dirt under the fingernails of the creation process. And while
they turned that into Dark Souls 3, didn't they?
But whilst the original, the Dark Souls design works has a Miyazaki interview at the back. The Miyazaki interview for Bloodborne with Epic Name Bro is in the back of the old Hunter's Guidebook.
That's silly.
So yeah, like I say, the artwork is lovely, but I enjoyed hearing about the process in, when you're going from page to page in the Dark Souls 2 design works, it's not just here's a lovely piece of art, here's another lovely piece of art. You're kind of reading the ongoing stuff with the developers where they're talking about how it was applied, or when it came in, or what they tried to build, and things that worked, the things that didn't, their regrets on stuff, and how the story changed at certain aspects. And I was fascinated by that. It gave me more of an insight and an appreciation to the final work, and seeing this. It's often been said about game design that there's a lot of chaos in creation, and then hopefully it all starts coming together towards the end, where bits fit together. And if anybody's been part of a creative process, I used to find it with being in bands and stuff, when you're writing songs, when lightning strikes, oftentimes the things truly come together beyond the spontaneous, and with the best will in the world, kind of when you're tying those bits together at the end, that's where you realise what's there or what's not. And I would have liked the ongoing stuff in the Bloodborne design works, but the Dark Souls 3 design works is August apparently.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that will then go. It is hardcover in this one as well, so thankfully they're at least going to slot in with the rest of them. But I'm hoping that's got a. I'll be interested to see if maybe it has the interview with Miyazaki at the end of it, as to whether there's like the original Dark Souls design works had, as to whether there's a running commentary, or because I'm still very, very curious about Dark Souls 3's. The way it came together, because they threw out an awful lot of stuff from Dark Souls 2. Like the menus in Dark Souls 2 were far better. I like things like, I enjoyed the stuff with is it 8 times when you kill an enemy in a level they disappear, but you can go to the bonfire. You can
12.
go to
I think it was 12. It was a dozen.
Yeah, you can go to the bonfire and you can burn a bonfire aesthetic, and you can essentially bring the new Game Plus version of that level forward. You
can redo it for items and boss kills again.
Yeah,
so.
and they really threw loads into that new Game Plus anyway. But again, that new Game Plus in Dark Souls 2 was tremendous. There was nothing like that in there. The way that I still resent the way that you kind of find Laddersmith Gilligan just
there,
just dead near a ladder. Hey, let's put some ladders into this bit. Hey, we could kill there. Like life gems. Life gems were really good. You could...
A good way of healing outside of stress. You could just pop one when you fancied it, rather than go all the way out to the bonfire and come all the way back again. They were brilliant. Why are they gone? And given that the Estus in 3 works the same way as 2, as you kind of start with a couple and build up as you go, you need another item. You need your life gems. I was again one of my biggest... Not one of my biggest complaints with Dark Souls 3, because I've got a lot of complaints with Dark Souls 3. But life gems were right up there. It's like, they were brilliant. Why? Why get rid of them?
We still got... I mean, I maybe kind of Miyazaki thought that it lessened the impact of having an Estus, but I found that I used them at very different times. So I think with life gems, you could pop one, and it would sort of make your health go up. I think it slowed you down, didn't it, when you were popping it, and your energy sort of started going up sort of quite slowly. Whereas an Estus, you obviously had to get into a point where you could swig one, but the swig was quite quick, and you got sort of a lot of the time sort of more for it. But I like the duality of that. I thought it was really cool, and there were loads of things that it just seemed like they threw out the baby with the bathwater a lot of the time. And I'm not sure. And there's still a level of arrogance to me about Dark Souls 3. Not just with that, but also I'm going to do a kind of sequel to my first game. And I think if it was me, I would have liked Dark Souls 3 to stand on its own 2 feet in the same way as Dark Souls 2 did.
I think it suffered because of it didn't. It winds me up that a lot of people, and I'm not calling anyone out here, I know that people have different opinions, but like a lot of people think this is one of the best ones. It's like it just didn't hit for me. It misses so much.
Gary Butterfield's still getting people having a go at him because of that.
Probably. Yeah,
that last
probably.
series of Bonfireside Chat.
Well, it's like I think by the time we get to Dark Souls 3, I remember them talking about this on an earlier episode of Bonfireside Chat about Dark Souls 3. It was something like there are now, I think, 5 ways to turn into a dragon and 4 ways to become a tree now. Can anyone make sense of this?
I mean,
like for me, that kind of creep of like extra lore bits on top of what's already there, and kind of the twisting and not even twisting and changing of what's there. It's kind of just adding new stuff that doesn't seem to gel very well with the old stuff.
It seems like
telling stories that didn't need to be told. Like the whole Gwyn's firstborn thing, which still sucks. Like
he really fucked Solaire. Really fucked Solaire.
End law 2018. That's what I'm standing for as president. End law. Law is done now.
Well, there was the thing in which I think was surmised in Dark Souls 2 that sort of one of the characters, like the main sort of fella that was on the front of the box, was the true son of Gwyn. But that was
in Dark Souls 2.
Yeah, that was kind of
Alan Hyde.
That was sort of up in the air a little bit, I think. And yet this one, it was like, well, there are kind of creatures that are a little bit like Artorias, and Solaire really wasn't the person that you thought he was. And what if Ornstein left the chapel? And what if he left the chapel? And what if he... And it just seems... Maybe it was another take of what sequels could do, but I quite like the whispers of Dark Souls 2 that like, it's like legends that have been told and retold as the world sort of has sort of come around again.
Every kind of bit like that. Like it's kind of fun you mentioned the Ornstein bit there, because him turning up in Dark Souls 2 was like huge for me, because I didn't get to that bit till like 20 hours in the game. I just didn't go that way because it's not critical path, and I just didn't think to go up there at the time, and I didn't come back there until after I'd beaten a fair few bosses. Like, oh fuck, Ornstein's here? What the fuck? Like I didn't realise it was what everyone considered an early game boss. Like it didn't feel like one at the time. And for me, it helped compound my, the one in Dark Souls 2 is the real one theory, because everything else is Anor Londo is bullshit. Maybe they were bullshit as well, and the one who's in Dark Souls 2 is really, really old, which is why he's kind of gone a bit dark and a bit corrupt, because he's so old. Well, he's a bit more of a pushover because he's on his own, and he's not strong, certainly. And I love that. I love sort of putting that, piercing my own... What's it called when you have your own... headcanon, there you go. Like, I really enjoyed that headcanon. Like, oh yeah, like, that's the real one, and he left with someone, with Gwyndolin or something, and off they went. Or Guinevere, sorry, and Gwyndolin made the fake ones to kind of protect everything instead. And then Dark Souls 3 comes along, like, no, he stayed here. He was pretty much still around. He just, he went off with the firstborn to the dragon place. It was fine.
Well, Dark Souls 3 does seem like a direct sequel to the first Dark Souls. And I remember at the time when Dark Souls 2 was coming out, there was a bit which clearly has been lost in translation, where they said that Miyazaki was removed from the project, which made it just sound like, well, he was working on it and then no. And
his ideas were too dangerous.
I was listening to something recently. I think it might have been Easy Allies did their sort of review of like Bloodborne, or look back at Bloodborne as they've been going through the Soul series. And in that, they said that Sony approached From Software with the chance of working on new technology, and that's where Miyazaki chose to work on Bloodborne, and that was his choice to create something new. So and yet that whole Miyazaki was removed from Dark Souls 2. Dogged it from the start, really. And I think that really stuck in people's craw from the original. I think it was the original Edge interview when DS2 was first sort of shown off and was announced and stuff. So, so yeah, it's, with Dark Souls 2 as well. I the return to Drangleic event kicked in just before sort of the return to Yarnham.
Wow, I know we joked about it at the start. I really didn't know that.
So I saw it. I'd fallen into somewhat of a bad spot of late, and so found myself in Scholar again. Didn't get on it straight away, but it'd been there kind of on my mind, which is, Scholar's pretty personal to me, so falling into sort of a bad spot reminds me of times like, 3 years or so ago. Took a bit of refamiliarising myself, and wasn't really a tremendous amount of folks around at the point where I jumped onto it. But I had a good time with the game again. I've expressed a lot about it sort of here and there, and but I don't know. I got the impression, like, you've been doing your one bro run, but I still feel that I've got stuff to get off my chest with regards to Dark Souls 2. So I'm kind of becoming more and more interested in getting an Elgato and maybe putting a series together, run through, deeper chat, maybe the odd giggle. I don't know, whatever comes out. So
I've got unfinished business with that game as well. I've still not beat Dark Lurker.
I'd just like to do a run from the start and just... So, yeah, if you're interested, give me a little bit of feedback and maybe I'll try and put a few pounds together for one of those. Don't know what that is.
Like, share and subscribe, everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, and join me next time. Demon Souls.
Why are we talking about that for, CJ? It's a dead game.
Lull the old one back to his slumber. The online one back to his slumber, so the world might be mended. The service died. I had a 4 a.m. wake up for work on the day that the axe fell. I was watching Peeve trying to finish what I think was like NG plus 23 or something daft. And he was trying to work it out at a certain point. It was like, how many Stormringers have I got? Oh no, I kind of sacrificed one of those and built it with this one, and I think I broke it down. And yeah, it was one of those. But there were loads of people pitching in to help him and invade him. And then later at work, I was looking through the Demon Souls tag on Twitter and just kind of choking up, seeing what the game meant to people, the screenshots playing up to the final moment. It was really heartbreaking. I remember years and years back writing a piece on Tumblr when it looked like Atlas were going to axe the servers sort of back then, and about how finite our favourite games could end up being, and that hit me hard at that point before it got a stay of execution. You died.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, for many years sort of after that, but it just seems strange that all the servers across the world ended up getting nixed at the same time. And certainly Sony followed that up soon after with Bloodborne 3 on Plus. But I'm still nailing my hopes to the mast that Bluepoint are working on Remaster. I will say it again, that I've heard stuff for years with their name attached.
Is it going to be at E3? Is it going to be at E3? Everyone take all of your drinks.
But, yeah, swig both bottles.
You've just killed the audience with alcohol poisoning. Well done.
Third bottle. Suck it up with your bum. Because 2019 is the 10-year anniversary. And by Jove, Easter is always a time we've come to sort of associate with Souls renewal. So maybe next year, early next year, March, April time, hope, join hands with me again.
Do I have to find you a bottle of something and label it to do not open until Demon Souls Remaster is announced?
I'm gonna be wandering through the town with a bell.
I know you don't drink the booze, but I'll send you a bottle of champagne just so you can have that cork pop moment.
No, just buy me some coffee.
No,
yeah,
you can't pop the cork on some coffee. It's not as good.
So the world might be mended. Mind you, it was mended because it's been reborn under private servers. Apparently, somebody has set them up. There's a certain IP address that you can plug into your PlayStation 3 console, and it will show you how many people are playing at any given time. And
that's cool. Bit too much work for me, but that's cool.
No, I mean it's just an IP address, but
you're forgetting how lazy I am.
Yeah, but rather than it just being kind of nobody can play that aspect of the game anymore, isn't it kind of cool that somebody can just sort of put in that line of text, and then when you boot it up, it will just say, these are now private servers, but it says underneath there are 15 people playing at present, and I kind of dig that. It's and Sony haven't nixed it, to be fair, so that makes me happy.
Yeah, so don't tell anyone.
No. Shh, quiet.
It's a strange one, me. The Demon's Souls servers going off is a really strange one for me because, it didn't affect me that much because I would say the only co-op I did in that, or online stuff I did, I think was with... It's going to sound really bad now. I only did it with you. Yeah. And that makes it sound like it did matter. And it did matter.
We were better friends back then. You were a better friend.
Wow, that hurts me in the soul.
Yeah, shing, I believe this is yours.
Ow, my spine. But yeah, I think we had that game where it was me and you running around 4-1.
That's the start of our friendship anyway, wasn't it?
It was, wasn't it? Yeah, because we had no microphones, so it was a lot of pointing.
And you were like, "Oh, I played that Demon's Souls. I borrowed it from Sean. I'd know." And I was like, "Paddy, let me lure you."
He lent it to me as a joke, and look how that turned out. But yeah, I remember playing that with you, and then I kind of did a couple. I think we played together once or twice more on it, but not that much, really.
Yeah, we were doing it without mics.
Yeah, and that is rough. It is. We had Skype, I think, as voice chat at one point, didn't we? I think I was using my PlayStation Vita or my PSP as a Skype hole.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, and plop it, and every now and again it would run out of battery. Like, hang on, wait a minute, get the plug, hang on, fuck, and we'd lose it all again. But yeah, for me, Demon's Souls, I got invaded a couple of times. My very first invasion was in Demon's Souls in 3-1. The spooky Ding Cthulhu's area.
Oh, that's not a place to be invaded, man.
It's bullshit, mate. I'd heard about the invasions, but I'd never had one. And then obviously, I saw the message come up, and I was running around the catwalk bits where the prison cells are. It's like, oh fuck, oh no, oh dear. And I kind of opened up a lot of the level at this point. I was kind of trying to push through to the boss at this part of the game, and a lot of it was open up, and I'd kind of gone to the bridge where the arrows were, and I'd already turned those off, so I was okay. So I'm thinking to myself, I should be fine. I look over, and across the cavern, I see a red man running around. Oh fuck, this is happening. Okay, time to run. So I remember running and thinking to myself, where do I go? And I just started running, and I thought, I know, I'll go back to that bridge, and when he gets there, I'll turn the arrows back on. So I get there, and I run back, and I go around to the button, and I see that I can't interact with it. So I'm like, well, this is a mistake. And the guy turns up as I've realised that it's all gone wrong. So we have ourselves probably a 3-minute fight on that bridge where the arrows shoot out. And I won that fight. It was close. It was fuck close. But I remember winning that fight. And I think it's probably... It's going to sound really bad. It's probably the best invasion I've had because it's the first one. And it's the first one where I really felt it. That sort of screaming, soul-ripping panic of someone is here to ruin my life. Please no, please don't. And I've had invasions in the past as well that have been like, oh fuck, oh no, I'm definitely dead. Look at that guy, his sword's glowing, I'm done. But that first one, because it was so unknown, because it was so I literally don't know what's going to happen right now. It was more fun because of it. I think my first invasions were good about that. I remember doing a bit of invasion in Dark Souls 2. It was the first time I really got into it. And the first couple of invasions that I did into other people's worlds was that same feeling of what's going to happen? How are they going to react? Are they going to fight me? Are they going to run away? I'd never seen it from that side of the coin before. I tend to sort of stand and fight if I can, but sort of invading people, what's going to happen? Are they going to run away from me? Are they going to fight me? And it was just glorious, I think those first occasions when that sort of thing happens are really special. And they're the ones that you remember, Demon's Souls was my first Souls game, which I'm really happy to say it was my first one, because I'm kind of a bit, not anal, but OCD about playing things in order. I can't pick up game number 5 if I know I've got game number 1 that I can play, even if it isn't as good.
When there's a legacy.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You know, like what I'm doing with the Yakuza games at the minute. You know, I finished Yakuza 1, and I've got access to 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, I was going to send you two, wasn't it?
You were. That's why I've not played them yet.
It's in my kitchen cupboard.
Yeah, that's why I've not played 3, 4, or 5 yet. I've got Monster Hunter. There's no rush. But yeah, like I want to play things in order, and like part of me is like, oh, do I just get Yakuza 2 Kiwami 2 that looks amazing? But like, no, I want to play the PS2 version and really kind of get that gradual build up. Like when people play Metal Gear games. And like, oh, I'm playing the Metal Gear series for the first time. Should I play them chronologically, or like in release order, or in like timeline order? And it makes me want to scream when people say play them in the timeline order, because that's not the best way to play them. The story doesn't build the same way. The mechanics don't build the same way. You know, you have a big jump from, I suppose, a big jump from Phantom Pain. You know, with all of its amazing, you know, open world stealth stuff, back down to, you know, PS1 or even the MSX, you know, very digital, very old school, very 90s, run around and hide from a man.
Speaking of Metal Gear a minute, given that Revengeance is on Xbox One backwards compatibility, Peace Walker came out on backwards compatibility last week. I
saw that.
Which means that Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 will be on backwards compatible like within the next month, I think. How weird is that?
Kind of bonkers.
That it's, you know, they're going to be running sort of better and swisher on a Microsoft machine, rather than, mind you, Sony just don't like backwards compatibility, or at least they didn't until they trademarked Sony backwards compatibility, as they did a couple of weeks back.
Oh, I didn't see that.
So people are wondering if it's going to be like PlayStation 5 is going to be backwards compatible with PlayStation 4 games. I don't know. I just thought I'd interject that.
I think because, like, from a hardware point of view, like, it would take a bit of work to get this thing, to get a PS4 backwards compatible, because it kind of isn't right now, isn't it? It would take a lot of work to make that happen.
I don't know. It depends on your engine, I guess. Because a lot of the stuff with the backwards compatible stuff that's going on Xbox One is that they've created or refined such a great engine for doing it, that the engine's more or less doing its own thing when they kind of plug a game into it now, which is crazy. Because a lot of the time with the One stuff, it's remembering to be an Xbox One and super emulating like an Xbox 360 at the same time, and you know, they're good. So,
yeah. I think the architecture is was kind of leaned into that though, because the PS3, you know, goes down as being the weird one, the cell architecture that was very hard to program for, or like, you know, it's why devs favoured the 360, because it was just easier to kind of take your PC version, and turn it into a console version without too much fanning around. Whereas the PS3 had its cell architecture, and from what I've heard, it's quite difficult to replicate that, like in a software way.
I think that's why you saw some sort of quite ropey, hard, like ports, I guess, from between like systems, which is why on the other side it was why I was quite appreciative of the fact that when the Xbox One was getting like 720p or 900p games, when PS4 was, you know, getting like 1080p, you just like, saw that last gen. Don't bother me.
Yeah. I'm used to being on the other side of the coin on that argument, so like it was quite nice to be winning for once. Yeah, cool. Saying that, although these like, back in the day when it mattered, like, oh yeah, I've got more P's than you. Whereas now that argument just makes me furious. Oh, I've got 1080 versus 900. Wow, it's night and day. It's like looking at pixel art compared to a photograph.
You know, I remember, what was it? It might have been Shadow of Mordor, maybe. There was a comparison video that I saw. It might have been Digital Foundry and something. And they were like, going on about the PS4 version being like 1080p and the Xbox One version being 900p. They were showing them side by side. I could not tell the difference.
This is what I always do. When you see one of those videos come up, you put your hand over the names, right? So you look where the names are going to come up. Just put your hand over quickly before you see them, and see if you can work out which one's which.
Yeah, and
I don't get it. I don't get it, and it's
the
reason why I don't think I need to buy a PS4 Pro until my PS4 breaks, because like I've seen videos, like it looks a little bit nicer maybe, but not enough to spend 350 quid on when I've got a perfectly fine PS4 here right now that does what I need it to do.
I think it's not quite the same sort of leap as it is between like the One and the X, because it's quite distinguishable differences sort of there. And also, you know, with the stuff that it's doing with the, like, there's certain older games where it's got 9 times visuals, where they've taken like a 360 game and they've times the visual by 9, so everything's like really rounded off and really nice, and they've added like 10-bit lighting instead of 8-bit and like HDR or whatever it might be, and you're just like, God, I can get this for like £3 and it looks swizzier.
For me, it's just a lot of it just comes down to just tech wank.
Yeah,
and I'm not a fan of tech wank. Like, I don't have the latest phone, I don't have the latest telly, I don't have the latest anything really. I'm not. That's not for me. If stuff works, fine. The best game I've got on my phone is Desert Golf, and that is like the most basic golf game you could ever imagine. Like, and it's wonderful in its simplicity. I don't believe in buying the newest, fanciest thing every goddamn year, because why?
Now
what I've got works.
It might seem like we've gotten off at a tangent, but
I could play Horizon Zero Dawn.
Dark Souls Remastered. There's lots of news that is new.
That's interesting.
So
wait, there's new news, new
news that's new,
because we did our last episode just before that got announced, didn't we?
Yeah, and then you were like, "Oh, we need to do a new show." When I was like, "Paddy, there's not really a lot that we can."
We kind of covered most of, like, oh, what do you think it could be, and then it kind of was most of it.
We preempted it because I think at that point there was rumours that it was going to be announced on Switch. Not the Laura Kate Dale stuff, but there was somebody before that who was saying that it was about to be announced, and I don't think it landed when he said that announcement was going to be. So there was a brief trailer, the one which just did the reveal and showed a bonfire. There was news that followed that the Switch conversion is being done by a studio by the name of Virtuous, who recently did the ports of LA Noire to Switch, Xbox One and PS4, and before that worked with Square on the remaster of Final Fantasy XII, and they also did Final Fantasy X as well.
Oh, now, okay. Well, I've got. I haven't put 12 in, but I've got a copy of 12. I bought the other week when it was cheap. It was 12 quid, and it seemed like a good investment. But the 10 port, I played the Vita port, and it was fabulous.
Now, also in the history before that is the allegedly rather ropey Xbox and PlayStation ports of Return to Arkham, which had and they also did the Assassin's Creed Ezio trilogy for One and PS4.
I don't know if they were good or not. I
don't think fabulous. So here's a case of sort of hoping that it's more a case of who they're working with and how hands-on those people are. I mean, you'd imagine like Rockstar and Square might be super hands-on. The latter, I suppose, at least with Final Fantasy. But we live in hope. PlayStation, Xbox, and PC versions of Dark Souls Remasters are being done by a Canadian company called QLock, who are allegedly helping From Software with the conversions. Now, QLock recently worked on the PC version of Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen and the PC version of DMC Devil May Cry, which were both pretty well received as far as I can tell. And they did Injustice 2 on personal computers as well. Mm-hmm. So it'd be interesting to see what happens there. The Solaire amiibo initially wasn't up anywhere. I read Brad Galloway state that GameStop in the US had already sold out of their pre-orders, which I thought at the time was weird. I was putting Solaire into Amazon UK, which brought up Mario Wedding Amiibo, a Solaire cosplay outfit, and Praise the Sun Cream. It was just sun cream.
You bought all of it, didn't you?
Yeah. So then it jumped into something as a little bit of a... Do you need to answer that phone?
Oh, I think I do, yeah. I won't be a second.
Okay.
1 hour and 9 minutes. I'm writing the time down. Hello. Hi, I'm in the podcast. Okay. Right, wait. I am back.
So to do a little bit of a left of centre from there, what video? So we know Dark Souls Remastered is going to have 4K functionality on One X and PS4 Pro. Will run at 60 frames per second and will include 6-player multiplayer this time. Firstly, do you think that will ruin the base game? Or do you think that, say, bosses will be super scaling depending on how many folks you've got in there? I mean, I was thinking sort of Artorias, for example, is far easier when confused with 2 folks in there chipping away at him, but having sort of a super uber gank fest on
a team of 4. I don't know. It feels like that's more of a admission to the, or sort of something to give to the PvP people more than the PvE people. Because I found, ooh, look at me, Big Johnny Big Bollocks. I found that 2 people helping you is usually fine. 1 invader, maybe 2 invaders is fine. But 6 people open, it kind of feels like they want to have more of a chaos going on. Like Dark Souls 3 had a couple of areas, like the swamp area, where there was just 6 different colours of person running around all at once, all not quite sure who was trying to stab who. And it kind of feels like they're going to try and go for something like that again. Although there's really only a couple of covenants in Dark Souls 1 that makes sense to kind of join, the Sunlight Bros and the Dark Raids. There's not really weird covenants, are there? No. I suppose you've got the dragons and the Gravelord stuff, but they don't really work. Or I suppose is that more of an idea that they want to try and get those working now, with more people doing the weird stuff?
Well,
I don't know. I can't see the reasoning for it. It's fine. I get that things progress forward, but I'd like to think that if you did bring 3 dudes in, they'd buff the boss up again, to another level of strength and health, because with even Artorias with 2 people, you can play ping pong with him, and it trivialises the fight quite heavily.
Well, I think there's still that great point whereby if you've got 2 in the Artorias fight, there will be, you can confuse him if you're sort of at opposite ends of the arena, but there is that wonderful moment where he looks like he's going towards your mate and then he just turns round to you, and whilst you might see your mate sort of start running in from a distance, he's equally likely to just turn back. But I'm just thinking, if you got 4 in at that fight, it'd just be, spinning around. But yeah, Varty's point kind of pertained as to whether we want to see a dead straight, albeit sparklier version of the original Dark Souls, or whether we want to see a remix along the lines of a Scholar of the First Sin. Sort of, is the original pristine, perfect and flappable, or would we like to see sort of a Miyazaki rethink? See what's been on his mind since the first version came out, little things he wants to add, move, take away, maybe enemies and bosses to plug in there that didn't make the first game, make it his kind of director's cut. So given the original isn't going away, at least until those servers are walloped, do we want it as is, or do we want something new? I hadn't thought about it since I until that vid, and now it's kind of been on my mind, and I'm going
I've thought about it.
You've just thought about it now, haven't you?
No, I've had this thought a long time ago. I'm going to sound very purist, but keep it as it is. Don't change as little as you possibly can. I think the original Dark Souls was lightning in a bottle. It was almost. Again, there are issues, obviously, but it's almost a perfect game for me. It's there. Everything is cohesive. Everything works. Sure, there's, sort out the frame rate in Blighttown. Cool. But would I want them to, I don't know, change the Bed of Chaos fight? No, because that nonsense is part of the game. Getting over that is part of it. Would I want them to adjust the the archers in Anor Londo, for instance. Would I want them to make that run up easier or different? No, that's part of the game. The enemy placements, the strange placements sometimes where things just sort of turn up places. Like, it's all part of it. Like, if you start remixing stuff, especially where this is like a remaster, it's not they've taken. If this had happened, say, like it did with Scholar, say this had happened a year after the game had come out, Dark Souls, Teacher of the First Misery, I don't know, edition.
That's really good, well done.
Thanks. It's not. No, it's not.
Did you just think of that?
Literally off top of head. Yeah.
Really? I thought you'd written it down and maybe done a bit of pre-planning. This Teacher of the original Misery.
That's it.
Why didn't they do that? Why? Now is my time. Where's that bit of paper? I'll just text my wife, who will then ring me back and tell me which drawer it's in.
So, if they'd have done this a year out, I don't think it would have been a problem, because it would have been, here's the base game, but we're gonna make a new version of it. We're gonna have another go. We're gonna tighten some things up. We're gonna fix Blighttown. We're gonna adjust some things you said, and then this is gonna be the definitive version. Boom. I don't think I'd have had a problem with that. I think that would have been fine. Like Resident Evil Director's Cut. Like, it's soon enough after it that it's like, they're just having another pass at it and getting it better. Like with Scholar, they're having another pass at it and fixing issues that they saw with it. But where it's been so long now, where it has been 8 years since Dark Souls 1 came out, something like that. Long time, yeah. Like, that game is the game. Like, I don't see what they would gain, especially if this is just being a remaster, not like a remake, of changing anything. Like, I don't understand what the point of it would be. Like, you rock up to I don't know, you rock up to the Undead Parish, and there's dark rays everywhere. You're like, okay, what's that all about? Or basilisks show up in places basilisks shouldn't be. Now to play devil's advocate here, now you're putting something random into a place whereby there might be a more subtle way of doing things in that regard. It's not just let's get a fella from there and let's put him there. But if I am pulling this out of my arse. So
yeah, but if there was a deeper thought behind it, because that's a lot of the stuff that happened in Scholar was the connective tissue between the game was tightened up. And whilst I think that Dark Souls 2's development allowed for Scholar to, there was more room for them to do that sort of thing, because things were a little more all over the place initially as they tried to get it shipped and tried to get it out there and working. Maybe there's not really that much that Miyazaki wanted to do with regards to that tightening, but maybe after the fact it was like, it's a shame I didn't do that. We saw there were some spider enemies, I think, that made it into either 2 or 3, like near the bed of chaos, where they kind of, those things that were crawling along the ground with the eggs attached to them.
Yeah.
Like there was the spider enemies, or the original design, if I remember rightly, the original design for kind of like the people on their feet where the spiders have kind of hatched seemed to have been taken to Brightstone Cove from Dark Souls 2. You've got Undead King Jariel, I think it is, was one of the bosses that in a certain point, and I just wonder if things have been on his mind, and maybe there are. Maybe just like not necessarily like a full remix, but maybe like just a sprinkling of dust here and there, which is like, I meant to do that. The PS3 and Xbox 360 couldn't do that. I really regret not putting that sort of thing in there. And as to whether it's not super dramatic, it might be just these little surprises here and there.
Perhaps. But I suppose the thing for me with the game as it is that, like, I'm sure you can do this too. I can play pretty much the entire game in my head right now.
But is that what you want with the remaster? Do you just want a kind of a bit of gaming tourism?
I got a glory run. almost. You know,
Yeah.
a version that looks like the version that looks in my head would be nice. Like, because like take like the undead Berg. Like, I can pick out where every single enemy is in that game. I know where they all are. I know exactly where they're going to go. Like, which ones are going to chase you, which ones aren't. You can, like I say, you can sit there and just close your eyes and just play through it in your head, and you know, be really good at parrying because it's in your imagination, so you can get it right every time. Yeah, I'm the parry king. Yes. If I went there and they're all in different places, or it was all mixed up and it wasn't quite how I remember it, it wouldn't feel like the same game. I don't think it would feel like. I mean, that kind of set layout of how the world is. It's so part of it. They're not just like random things thrown out. Like, everything is placed. Everything has a location. It's not like an open world game where stuff just happens and you just happen to fall into stuff.
I agree. Everything is like supremely well placed, and in the majority of the original Dark Souls, it does feel like they got a huge amount right. But even if it was just these odd little tweaks here and there by the original director's hand from something he intended, the ambition was there to do it in the original, but there was just something they couldn't do. That I'd be interested in.
What about an explanation for the dragon butts in Lost Izalith? There we go.
There we go. You're fine now.
Where do they come from?
I did see a thing on I think it was Reset Era, where people were going like, I would like the lava to be even more orange. And like there was one person who basically said like, given that they're probably going to clear up the frame rate in Blighttown, I would like to see them add as many effects as possible in Blighttown to slow the game down to the original speed. And just like as many smoke effects and lighting effects, just throw all of it in, and let's
fireworks
see
going off in the distance.
This new, incredibly atmospheric Blighttown, super sparkling, but running at kind of the same crawl as the original did. That probably made me giggle.
Running at a screensaver pace.
So anyway, we then bounced into a Nintendo Direct that happened on Thursday, March 8th. It was 10 PM UK time, and featured a first glimpse of Dark Souls Remastered on Switch, running 1080p, 30 frames per second, and from what I could tell, as near as damn it to the original. An upcoming network test was announced, and there will
was
be
there
one
footage of that? Sorry, just not to cut you off and flow. Was there footage of that made it on the internet? Because I'm sure I would have seen that.
Yeah, 100%.
But Twitter, wow, well done, Twitter. You have failed.
I'm about to ram this home for you in a minute. Yeah, they announced a network test for the Switch, but there's also going to be a network test for PS4 and Xbox One. I don't know if there's going to be one on PC, but no date was given for that. And they said that the Solaire Amiibo would allow anyone to do the Praise the Sun gesture at any time. You can still get it in the game, but apparently any time.
Well, that
seems a bit wonky. Now
that's silly, but that's fine. That gives no material gain. It's just, here's something doofy.
Now, folks have speculated that it may mean Solaire is in the new Switch Smash Brothers, which was announced in the same Direct. Which
Amiibos tend to relate to that, don't they? Amiibos tend to lead to something like that. I wasn't sure. I think there's a high chance. I mean, we got Metal Gear Snake in in Brawl, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you can imagine like some special effect to be like a lightning effect or something, or I don't know, it'd be kind of cool. I mean, my initial thought afterwards was, I'd love to see Artorias in Smash, maybe some sort of Swish Sith special move, but I'd love to see Artorias in Soul Calibur if Geralt's in it.
Ooh.
Artorias in Soul Calibur would make me buy Soul Calibur. The design, he just looked bitching in that. These Solaire Amiibo sold out in under half an hour, and I was in the UK. Under half an hour. So yeah. But following on from you saying that Twitter let you down, Digital Foundry ran tests on the trailer for the Switch version and saw stuff that wasn't in the original. Now, this version for the Switch again promises 1080p docked, £7.20 on the go, 30 frames per second. The original PS3 360 ran at 720p, and their analysis shows a touch more going on than the original. And given that Virtuous, in this regard, who have controversially chosen to alter a number of things in their remaster work previously, they altered the models in the 1 and PS4 like Arkham game quite considerably. I think they did with Final Fantasy X. They did like new character models, I think. But from what they could tell thus far, it seems to be lighting stuff, a bit more smoke and things. But I guess we'll see. But yeah, that's on the internet if you want to check it out. But
I wouldn't mind. Yeah, I wouldn't mind like environmental adjustment, like smoke and smog around like smoky places, like atmospheric. I think will be fine.
Stuff, just like smoothing off some of the edges. I think that's generally what they find. But yeah, that's there for you to have a look at. But there was footage of it. So, but yeah, the Switch version is 1080p as opposed to like 720. So it's at least in the TV version. So yeah. And sort of on a final note, I mentioned a little while ago the Dark Souls Beyond the Grave book, which I got, which was really good. And Volume 2 is now on Kickstarter, which is going to be covering Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3. It's the same folks who are doing it. At this point, it's nearly hit its target. And I think there's still about 18 days left. Their target was to do a Bloodborne book. There's also a Final Fantasy VIII book and a Breath of the Wild book. Will get sort of publication as part of it. And they've also said that once they hit the target, that they're going to do a book on Nier Automata as well. Yeah,
I saw that the other day. It's like, that's incredibly tempting.
So the first book is an absolute belter. Honestly, it's superb. It's third editions on Twitter. They'll have the details, and we'll jump you to the Kickstarter. I'm all over that, mate. I might even get the other books. So I haven't quite put my cash down yet, but I am going to.
Interesting.
So, yeah, nice people, and that's why we keep plugging it. But yeah, the original is belter. So get on it. And that, I think, this is up to date.
That's all the news. Oh, there's some comics announced. They don't look very good.
Yeah, bollocks them then.
Yeah.
So
that's quick.
Yeah, it's been good nattering. So because I think it might have been the next last episode. I was really going through what it felt like to be into a series and then have to leave it over there, right over there,
behind the cupboard,
and just sort of let it go for a bit, and what brought me back and what had me thinking about the series again. But playing Dark Souls 2 and Bloodborne as I am now, and enjoying Bloodborne more than I ever would, that third edition's book's fantastic. Jumping into the design works, I am desperately excited for Dark Souls Remastered, to the point where I actually really want to play Dark Souls again, but I don't want to go near it as this sort of way of almost pleasure delay, so that when the proper ones come out, there's a level of build up to falling into it again. So yeah,
if I could port my One Bro character over, I would.
Oh, could you imagine?
But I've got to finish it. I can't leave it.
Yeah, but
I've got to get this done before I start. I've got to. My promise to myself is finish the One Bro before starting the remaster. That's what I will promise myself.
Then do the remaster properly, and then do a One Bro on the remaster.
Well, I mean, I would say that doing the remaster One Bro run is doing it properly.
Oh, well played, sir. Well played.
Hey.
You see, this lad's got orders in for all three versions of
course you have.
Dark Souls Remastered.
How many copies of the original game would that mean you'd own at this point?
What of?
We've got to be in double digits now, right?
Of the original Dark Souls, or all?
Yeah,
the
we've got to be in double digits. Just the original Dark Souls.
The original version with the crappy cardboard box, as we got in the West. We've got the Prepare to Die version, the Steelbook Prepare to Die version, the 360 Prepare to Die version. That's 4 of the original, and then that'll be up to 7.
Jesus.
But there is something kind of cool. Like my mate who's got a Switch has been like, "Oh, have you taken it out and just like sat in a coffee shop and just played a game while you're drinking a beer?" And I was like, "No, part of me would just be kind of a little bit showing off a little bit in a shop, and somebody could like follow you home and stuff." But Dark Souls on the go sounds kind of cool, and there's a part of me that, in the same way as I savoured that Bloodborne book, I just want to sit down and just, maybe that's like the opening day. Maybe that's it. I get like a nice brew and just sit there and put headphones in. Yeah,
risky though. You're sitting there, right? You're sitting there in a Starbucks, right? And you've got your
it could be any coffee shop.
Triple grande mochaccino sitting there.
You don't know coffee, do you?
Your Columbia margarita sitting next to you in a cup.
You said to the person behind the counter, "I'll have 3 spoons of that coffee and extra water and less of the milk."
I'll have an extra shot of caffeine, please. And you've got your cup next to you. You've got your biscotti to dunk in as you go, right? Maybe you've got a nice French pastry for afterwards, right? And you've got your Switch.
Whoa. Did you say after?
Or during.
Because you
know,
buttery fingers. You think I'm American?
Maybe it's warm. So you're sitting there and you've got your Switch in your hand, right? And you're doing, I don't know, Capra, and you're sitting there just quietly playing it. You're playing it, and you're playing it. You get trapped on the stairs, and you get killed in a big shot, and you shout "piss bollocks!" and you throw your thing, and your coffee goes everywhere. Your bagel falls off, lands sticky side down on the floor. Everyone looks at you like, "What?" Like, look, it's hard. And then you've ruined your drink, and maybe your whole afternoon.
Your dignity. Yeah. Isn't it funny though to have like a more controlled version of that, but not quite, and have like the headphones on the Switch, and just people walking past and just going like, you've maybe been defeated by Capra again. You're just going like, "Oh, fuck off." People just think you're just being aggressive about them under your breath.
Just sitting there quietly going, "Bastard, bastard, 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 bastard."
Anyway,
that will be my concern with a hard game in public. I only play easy games when I'm out and about because I know I won't fail at them.
We'll see. It's something to talk about on the body, if nothing else. Anyway, soul stuff. We're back on Twin Humanities.
Back in it.
I love it. Back once again with the Renegade Mass.
I hope I've still got the music.
See you again soon.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.